tournament required, moment required, match plan, all those things has been really good. And so, we can talk about grander visions, but right now we're solely focused on this match against Honduras and making sure that we know what they're gonna challenge us with, and that we're up for understanding the match.
Gemma?
Jonathan, can you talk to us about what this tournament means to you as a player who's looking forward to next summer?
It's a preparation for what's to be next summer. I think we try to get as many of the guys in as possible to have a full squad and to use these games, even if it's a tournament, we want to win, to use these games as a preparation, how to get better and to understand exactly what we need to do and where we need to be come next summer.
KJ?
Christian, Jack, One Soccer, thank you both for doing this. I want to ask you about Jonathan Osorio. My records show that it's his 7th Gold Cup, which is a record for Canada, overtaking legends like Atiba and Julian de Guzman. Can you take us into the camp and tell us how important a player like Jonathan is, both on the pitch and off?
Yeah, so for me, it's been a long time I knew also. For me, he's a top player, a type of player I love to play with because he's a midfielder that understands the game very well, very smart player with his movements, with his passes. You can see someone that enjoys football, and to share the pitch with someone that enjoys football is always good. And off the pitch, he's a very simple guy, always welcoming, easy to talk to, and yeah, we get along very well.
John?
Well, let me just, I think Oso's presence in the team is a real steady one. He's a great professional. He gives a lot to the team. Whatever we ask of him, whatever position, whatever role, he's committed to everything of what it means to be part of the Canadian national team. I didn't know about the 7 Gold Cups, but I'm not surprised. It seems like he's been part of the national team makeup for a very long time. And I think, we even had a talk this week that I know that he's older, but I don't look at him as an old player because I know he can play intensively. I know he can play the way we want to play. For me, he's always a benefit for the group, whatever way we use him, when he starts, when he's on the bench, his presence in the team, his presence in training. So, I think he's a really important guy in the team.
John Molinaro, Sportsnet. Jesse, from a tactical perspective, what are you expecting from Honduras tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that it's a team that is very aggressive, and I expect them to defend really hard, to be compact, to not let the game get too open. I think we've used a lot of the game against the 2 games against Mexico as a bit of a reference point. And what you saw is in November that they didn't give Mexico a lot of space. They made it difficult on them. They were very physical, especially along their back line, and that they were very dangerous on the counter. I think it's possible that they choose to press us a little bit from the beginning, but I think that they will be very stingy defensively and be looking to get us on the counter, and then they'll be dangerous on set pieces.
Hart?
Harjeet, Canadian Soccer Daily. The question's for both Jesse and Jonathan. You come into this tournament as favorites, so how do you view upon that, and what would it mean to win a major tournament for the first time in 25 years?
You go, John.
So for me, I don't think we come in as favorites. I think, of course, I know we have a strong team and we can challenge for sure to win it, but to be favorites is something I wouldn't say personally, but I know we can achieve it.
I think that over the last years, the expectations for this team have grown. And by the way, when I say that, I don't even mean externally, I mean internally, that we feel strongly that based on specifically for me, what the last year has been like, but each match we have is a chance to prove it. And so again, I'm fully focused on what tomorrow will bring and making sure that we're ready for that.
Simon Fett, Soccer Talk, Vancouver. You touched on Honduras and what you'd seen against Mexico, but I was interested in knowing if you saw anything different or interesting from their 2 World Cup qualifiers they just had against Cayman Islands and Antigua.
Yeah, look, those are different kinds of games. it's what the Nations League and World Cup qualifying now with Mexico, US, and Canada being in the automatic qualifiers has changed what the games are like for teams like Honduras and Costa Rica and Jamaica and Panama. So they're playing in more matches now against Caribbean nations that they're better than, clearly, and now how they manage those games. We've watched those games, and there's certainly certain things that they do in those matches that make them successful, and it shows the quality they have in their teams. But I think these games that are now against more of the higher echelon, the higher 8 to 10 teams in the region, are the ones that are more important in preparation for these games.
Alex Kongaruzik, One Soccer. Jonathan, teams, the way that teams are starting to impose themselves on you guys physically, and how some ways you're supposed to maybe match it and find openings.
So I think in that game we talk a lot about us being a bit too passive, even though we knew this would be a strong team and maybe even more physically strong than us. And this is something that we knew that, especially in the first half, that we cannot play like this if we want to have big ambition, big goals. So that was a big talking point for us. And after that, it's just, not sitting back, not letting the team set the tempo for us, that we have to be on the front foot and we have to be the aggressors.
Jonathan, Michael McCall, AFTN. As a player, you don't get a chance to be together at national team level for 5-6 weeks very often. How much are you enjoying that opportunity, and has it made it a little bit easier to kind of switch off the outside world and all the chatter about what's happening with you at club level?
Yeah, I think it's always great to be with the group. I think we had a little taste of that last summer with the Copa. It was, I think we're together for, 7-8 weeks maybe, and it was very fun throughout the whole process. So for me, it's basically the same, just enjoying the time with the boys and get the most out of it.
Joshua.
Hi, Jesse. Joshua Ray, Area 51 Sports Network. I was wondering if you could talk about the balance of your squad, which has players of experience and youth, with players playing with their first Gold Cup tournament.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot internally about developing the overall breadth of the squad. And I think that this tournament, we're missing some of our back line. Liam Miller's recovering from an injury. So, we have a chance to bring in a few new players, to challenge a few young players to take on bigger roles. And I think that it's an exciting proposition for us. And by the way, guys like Luc de Fougerolles, guys like Jaden Nelson, who are younger and still establishing themselves with the national team, I think we're excited about the potential of what those guys can bring. So that will be necessary for us to make a deep run in this tournament, that we get good performances from some of the players that maybe don't have as many caps, but it'll be an invaluable experience, no doubt. And I think them integrating themselves into the team, them understanding what their roles are, getting a feel for what it's like to play on this team, to play with guys like Jonathan, all those things will only help them become better players and really prepare us more for what next summer we'll need.
We know that it's around the corner already, and to us it is really important. So I feel that it is, of course, like a preview of what you're about to see next year. And I think that we need to get well prepared for that and to go out and play a good match, specifically because, well, we're coming here to win as well.
You're going to have likely a few different strike partners at this tournament. Promise David, Kyle Larin, Daniel Osei, Daniel Jefferson, it. How do you adapt your game to fit other strike partnerships, considering how much you played with Larin?
It's not that difficult. I think whatever strike partner I play with, I think my role stays more or less the same. It's mostly about the connections we have together, or the understanding of our movements, and to make sure that we're not getting in each other's spaces, and to have that balance, really. Other than that, everything's pretty easy.
KJ.
Jonathan, Christian again. Captaining your country in a continental competition is obviously significant and a great achievement, so congratulations on that. Can you tell us what that was like when Jesse told you that you were going to be skipper, and what do you enjoy about being captain?
Thank you. Obviously, it's an honor to be captain of your country. So of course, I enjoy it. So the conversation was pretty simple. I think, we got on a call and he told me, yeah, I'm thinking of putting you captain. At first, it was my maybe humble answer. I told him I think there was a couple guys ahead of me, but then we kept talking a little bit more, and ultimately I was like, okay, this is also a challenge for me to put myself a bit more out there to help the team in different ways. So I see it as a challenge, and I'm ready for it.
Josh.
Jesse, just housekeeping stuff. Luke didn't train with the team in full yesterday. Derek didn't train. Are both available tomorrow?
Both are available. So, and Luke trained full with the team, and Derek, we just gave a day off, but he's back today.
Anybody else missing tomorrow?
No.
Jesse, was there any real possibility that, or any discussions about Michael Bradley joining the staff on a full-time basis? And now that he's beginning his head coaching sort of career, as someone who's kind of coached against him and coached him, what kind of coach do you think he'll be?
So I've known Michael since he's 4, right? And no, it wasn't about him being a full member of the coaching staff. We've just, we've rotated a lot of Canadian coaches. So we even have James Merriman here with us for a few days this week. And, for Michael, because I know him so well, and I thought it was an opportunity for him in the investment he's making in coaching to be around what we're doing. And then I also know, based on his connections with Canada, with TFC, with playing internationally, knowing what it means, that he would be a good resource as well for our guys. And one of the cool things was to see a lot of the guys kind of after training going to talk to him, asking him questions, asking about leadership, asking about playing at the highest levels. And I think Michael gives a lot of really careful insight to what his life has been like, what his career has been like. And I think he's going to be a great coach. Clearly it's in his blood. And he's a smart, analytical person who has always thought carefully about football, both as a player and more from a 30,000-foot perspective. So I'm excited to watch his teams. He seems to be excited about the things that he's learning about what the system that we've created here is, and how he can apply it to the things that he wants his teams to be about. So yeah, it was great.
Jonathan, there's 2 young Whitecaps players that are trying to carve out their role and really fit in with the team. What have you seen from Ali and Jaden when you're training with them, when you're playing with them, and how have they fit in with the team?
I think they fit in very well. I think it's not their first camp, so I think they know the guys. So for them, adaptation and getting to know everyone is not really a problem. And on the pitch, I think they're 2 fearless guys. Both great wingers that love to go 1v1, that's relentless if it's offensively or defensively. And for us, I think that matches well with the way the coach wants to play. And yeah, ultimately, they're both great players.
Gemma?
Jonathan, yet another one for you, sorry. I want to build a little bit on the question about you being captain. How would you characterize yourself as a captain? Are you one of the vocal guys or one of the lead by example guys? And what does taking on this role with the national team do for you as you continue to build your own personal career?
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember the question.
What kind of captain are you?
Yeah, so I would say I'm the type that leads by example. I'm often a more chilled, laid-back guy that just loves to play, loves to work hard on the pitch. So I think people can feed off that. And yeah, so the challenges for me is about being more vocal, about saying more to the team and not be shy to speak my mind, even if it's wrong, and also to be open to have those conversations with teammates and not to be afraid.
Simon, and we'll finish with Alex.
Guys, the tournament's starting and there's some interesting results in games. Jesse, I was interested in knowing how you might incorporate when you speak to the players before tomorrow night's game, what you saw with Mexico and the way Dominican Republic really pressed them, and then real entertainment between Costa Rica and Suriname. what kind of tone that has already set here and what you have to now anticipate yourselves with your own campaign in this tournament.
That's funny. This is what Johnny and I were talking about as we were walking over here from the pitch is the expectation for this tournament and the types of opponents that you see. And, you know, even this talk, I love that Johnny says, look, how can we be considered the favorites when we haven't won this in 25 years, right? We have a lot to prove still to ourselves more than anything. And what it will be really important is just like last summer, we talked very carefully about the expectation of what the opponents were going to bring to us, how hard the games were going to be, how important it was that we remain disciplined and focused on exactly what we thought we needed to do to be good in matches. None of that changes, right? And in some ways, it's a more important reminder because it's easy to respect Argentina when you're playing Argentina, but the attention to detail can drop when you play some of the CONCACAF region teams. And we have to make sure that in no way do we take anything for granted or assume that we are better than anyone. We have to fight for everything on the pitch. That has to be the first thing in our mentality for what this is going to take. And to earn the right to play the football that we think we can play, we have to be up for the challenge, up for the fight, and make sure that we are first when it comes to duels, when it comes to foot races, when it comes to physically being in the match.
Jesse, you mentioned bringing James Merriman in from Pacific. You've had the chance to work with Patrice out in Halifax, a couple others across CPL. Just kind of speak the importance of working with Canadian coaches and, you know, that side of it as you've mentioned being the Canadian national team and Canada's team, but also the coaches side of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, it's been an important extension to make as a foreign coach of the Canadian national team to make sure that the commitment to the game in the country and the people that are from the country is at the highest level. Even when recruiting dual nationals, the first thing I talk about is what it means to be Canadian and how that resonates with them and what it means to them. And although I'm not Canadian, I'm learning more every day. And in some ways I have a good perspective because I can learn and see and watch and listen and come up with my version of what that means and then make sure that we are reinforcing it with everything we do. In terms of having James Merriman, in terms of having David Edgar or Mauro Estacchio or Martin Nash, or we could go down the list, right? I think that each one has come in with something, not just there to watch and learn, but to also give opinions and to give us perspective on what they've been seeing and what they think. There's been a real appreciation, I think, that we've had such open environments and that we're inclusive. And I think in the end, all of this is important in terms of the movement that we're trying to make in this country and the advancements we're trying to make for the sport in this country, the opportunities that we're trying to give people that are Canadian in the sport in this country. I know my main job is, I say this all the time, I'm here to win football matches with this group of people, right? But it means this moment in time for the sport in Canada is a lot more than just how good can we be next summer, although I know that our motivation is how good can we be next summer.